everything you need to know about products and services that can improve your life. This is Experts on Call on CL 650.
Welcome back. This is 650 CIL's Talk About Strata, and the show today is about the relationship and the roles and responsibilities between the Strata manager, the Strata Council, and the Strata Corporation. Dan O'Hearn, the broker from Quay Pacific Property Management in New Westminster, is in the studio with us, and we're going to finish this show off and talk a little bit about facilities management, but we're going to start talking about rats.
Oh.
I know every building's favorite topic. Nothing like pest infestations and rodent infestations. So we had an interesting email from Sean, and here's his email. I think that a lot more strata corporations kind of hide this issue than deal with it. They kind of hope it goes away.
I think you're right.
But my 84-year-old mother lives in a strata-controlled seniors complex of townhomes. Construction has started on a nearby abandoned building, and ever since his mom has been seeing rats on her balcony. A number of her neighbors, here's the big clincher of course, because we know what's now drawing them in, have birdseed feeders, and the resident right next door admits to throwing seed directly onto the ground. His mom has spoken to the strata president and the neighbor, but they deny the birdseed has anything to do with the problem and refuse to call an exterminator. He's arranging to have an exterminator visit his mom's property because the rats are now starting to become a greater problem for this development. But it's probably not going to have any effect unless the whole building and the development deals with this in one shot. So I suspect that dealing with pest control and extermination, depending on the location of building, age of the building, type of the building, is probably something you commonly deal with most of your clients.
Yeah, you know, that sounds so familiar to a place that we're managing, and for many years the Strata Council and the ownership as a whole didn't want to do anything about it. They felt that the homeowners had attractants within their strata lot, and you know, I keep thinking, you know, we're talking about relationships here. I love your term, condosideration.
Yes.
Right? So, you know, we said you have to give some condosideration to this person these people actually, that could hear rats running around in the rafters and through the walls. Small children couldn't sleep. And the corporation didn't want to do anything about it. So let's look at a few things that are happening there. I mean, first of all, the bird seed is an attractant. Rats can be attracted to a lot of different things. And the first place to look now is bylaws, right? I mean, is there a bylaw against that bird seed feeder? I mean, that would be very common, right? So let's see what we're doing, the bylaws. The homeowner is really responsible for their own home space. I mean, that's a reality, but the rats are coming from the outside. And we can't blame the construction that's happening there beside Sean's mother. I mean, it's going to disrupt the rats, and they're just going to go around. So they're entering the building envelope, and that's going to be necessary for the corporation to deal with. So I think a lot of things happen on that front. You get a quality contractor out there to evaluate it, to put together a recommendation of what needs to be done, and then the Strata Corporation really has a duty to fund this. I mean, you've got to put in place whatever it might be, traps or poison program, closing up openings. So the corporation has to do their bit on the building. The ownership has to do their bit in compliance to the bylaws. Maybe they have to accept a bylaw or vote in a bylaw that does restrict pet feeders and that sort of attractants. And then the individual homeowner has to do their bit to make sure that there isn't any attractants in there, and they got to cooperate. It's amazing how many people may not want to cooperate with the traps because they're unsightly. You'll have this problem with restoration work. They don't like the sound of the dehumidifiers and the fans, so they turn them off. I mean, they're not helping the process. So everyone's got to collaborate on this issue.
It does go into the whole topic, though, of facilities, because pest control and maintenance, rodent control are issues that everyone deals with in multifamily buildings, partly because we have systems that tend to attract rodents and pests. We'll have garbage rooms and recycling rooms in parking garages. We'll have sumps and those types of facilities within the building systems, and they're all creating this need or this draw for pests and for rodents. So you know, but you start looking at the building system. We've spent most of the show talking about general administration, which is one of the difficulties we have in our industry, because we should be spending most of the show talking about how the facility is being managed. You
Mm-hmm.
know, what have we actually obtained a depreciation report, and have we taken the depreciation report and transformed it into an operations plan? Because
Mm-hmm.
one of the great benefits of a depreciation report is it now gives us a great inventory of all of the building components we have to repair and renew in the future, but it tells us how we can maintain them on an annual basis and get as much life out of them as we possibly can, how we can get the best performance. So where do you find time in the schedule to actually work with the stratas to set up facility schedules? So we have service agreements for all of these different components in the
Mm-hmm.
building systems.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be very time efficient. First of all, I really encourage that all corporations to get the depreciation report. It's probably one of the best steps forward, changes in the act. Then we assemble a team, right? I mean, one of the
Right.
things that we'll bring to the table is our preferred trades.
Right.
And you know, just a little plug there for Remdahl for painting, and for New Flow for pipe refitting, and CMW Insurance and CanStar. I mean, these are top-notch companies in the province, and National Air.
Right.
These are all part of our team, and we've aligned ourselves with them. And as long as there is that relationship with the Strata Corporation Council and ourselves, and they allow us to involve our preferred trades, it's going to help be more time efficient and no doubt more cost effective. I mean, if we're going to the people that we know, we like, and we trust, we're going to get information to them, or information from them on the best way to manage this asset. And we can trust that information, and we can bring it forward to the Strata Council. If it's not unified, and everyone's running out getting their own contractors and their own opinions, and going to Google, and they all become roofing experts in an afternoon, because they've done all the searches, it's not collaborative, and we're going to start falling apart, right?
Right. So, and facilities management is about plan scheduling for
Absolutely.
inspection, plan scheduling about maintenance, plan scheduling for renewals, and more importantly, for a realistic financial timeline for owners, it's about understanding what these cost impacts are on your annual budget. You talked earlier about the building
Mm-hmm.
that is attractive because it has low strata fees.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unless it's a bare land strata, it probably shouldn't have low strata fees.
No.
And low strata fees for us in the industry, when we start looking at these building systems, generally translates into neglected buildings or building systems that are not being maintained and repaired. I look at the emails. I get about 500 emails a week out of the columns, and I look at the emails, and an overwhelming number of emails have to do with neglect of buildings, and people
Yes.
are suddenly faced with a horrific surprise cost for a special levy because things have gone on too long, or there's chronic insurance claims because the piping have not been
Yep.
dealt with. There's damages to my strata lot. I live in the penthouse. The strata won't replace the roof. You deal with a lot of these chronic issues that could be avoided with good facilities management schedules on an annual basis.
Well, people are certainly afraid of the costs, right? And so by default, they want to just go cheaper. And I understand that, and we all want to have reasonable maintenance fees. And we're more about being value based. But here's the reality: is the building's going to be around for 100 years. And just because the people that are funding it are only around for 3 years or 5 years or 10 years doesn't mean that they can withhold payments into the building. I mean, the building needs to be repaired, and that's the beauty of the depreciation report. So I tell people, don't be scared of the funding models that are presented there. It will be interesting in years to come which strata corporations thrive in resale value. The ones who bury their heads in the sand and don't acknowledge any depreciation report, or the ones that accept it, right? So it's and you think this is an investment that's going to help your real estate values, and we're all about being value based. So it's not always about keeping the price down. It's about investing in your building that's going to help your real estate value. It's going to improve your living experience, and it's going to create a better community. And we're only talking about maybe an extra $10 to $15 a month. It's going to make the difference.
And for our real estate industry in British Columbia,
Mm-hmm.
which is an incredibly valuable asset, that all
Yes.
boils down to one principle for everyone. Whether you're a buyer, seller, you're going to live there for the longest period of time, and that's about certainty.
Yeah.
I know what it's going to cost. I know I can protect my property value. I know what the future looks like.
Yes.
And that certainty is one of the things that contributes to real estate value, but also comfort in living through your circumstances. So you know, the relationship with the strata manager goes a long way to that predictable certainty when we're actually building in programs to deal with on a regular basis our building operations and facilities, deal with a routine upgrade of our bylaws and a review of our bylaws, long-term planning through budgeting, annual budgeting, long-term contributions. The depreciation reports have already given us a really good indication of what the anticipations are, and we've already seen remarkable changes in some communities.
Yes.
We have stratas that have decided now they're going to fully fund and move forward, and they're going to be taking responsibility for their buildings, and all of a sudden they have no more special levies.
Yes.
It's a great thing to see the transformation. A lot of that was the relationship with the strata manager. So
I agree.
Dan, thank you for coming on the show. It's been great having you.
Yeah.
Thank you to all of our sponsors on the show who help make this possible. It's great to have their service and their support. This is Sea Isle 650 AM, and this is Quay Pacific's Talk About Strata. I'm Tony Giaventi, your host, and we'll talk to you next time.
Good night, Tony.